Hello and welcome to our 63rd session, and in this session we are going to complete this basketball game by adding some sliders. In a classroom, when children are taught about various concepts about mathematics, it is always better for the teacher to provide some control. He can control the arc, he can control the maximum power, minimum power to adjust the formula. In this session, we are going to add some sliders to control the values of your ball strength, its arc, its angle at which it is thrown. Everything can be controlled using these sliders. Once you complete this session, your final game will look like this. So you have the ball here and I can span it like this, and I can control the power here. You can see how the power is varied, and also I can reduce the minimum power here, control the upward direction, how much upward direction I need, so the ball moves in the direction, or I can control the arc and see the arc level. This will control the Y position where the ball is placed vertically. See whether it is placed down or up. I can control this, and I can control its Z position through this slider. So we have all these controls, and also we have one auto adjust arc button. Now once you click on this, all these values are adjusted automatically for the current position, and when you drag it, you can see that the ball easily goes inside the net. If I place it at a different position, and now if I click on auto arc, see automatically the calculations are done. So I have to slightly move it forward along the Z axis, and now if I drop it, see you can see the score is happening. So we are going to add all these controls in this session. This calls for a very complicated BallThrower.script. In this session, just copy the code that I have given to you and just paste it. And what this code does in detail will be explained, and I am going to share this in the coming sessions. As usual, let us start by launching Unity Hub. Come into the projects panel. You can continue from the previous session of basketball_game. But if you doesn't have this project files, do not worry. Click on the new project, and in the template select Universal 3D SRP, and in the project name I am going to call this as basketball_game with sliders, and click on create project. Now as the project is getting loaded, come into your YouTube page or the e-learning page, scroll down, and if you click on more, you are provided with a Patreon link. Click on this link. This will bring you to the Junior Programmer Series Patreon page of Satvik. Scroll down, and you are provided with the 63 basketball game slider start.unity package. Click on it to download it. Once it gets downloaded, select the 63B BallThrower with slider and auto controls code text file. Click on it to download it. If required, download Satvik_layout.wlt file. Now once Unity is loaded, come into the project panel and select the Readme file. Come into the inspector and click on remove Readme assets, and in the confirmation window click on proceed. We don't need this InputSystem_Action file. Select it, right click and choose delete, and in the confirmation window click on delete. If layout of Unity that you are seeing in this video does not match the layout that you are using it in your computer, then you can come to the top right layout panel here and select the Satvik layout. If Satvik layout is not present, click on load layout from file, browse to your download folder and select Satvik_WLT file and click on open. The layout that you are seeing in the video and the layout in your computer will be the same. Now come into the project panel, choose asset, right click and choose import package custom package. Now select this 63 basketball slider start.unity package file which you downloaded just now and click on open. Now in the import unity package dialog box, see that all is selected and click on import. Once it is imported, you can come into the scenes, select the basketball file and double click to open it. I will come into game view. Instead of free aspect, I will choose full HD 1920 into 1080. In our previous session for the floor, we had added a layer, but it is missing here. So I will select the floor, come into layer and choose add layer, and I am going to add the ground layer and press enter. Select the floor and allot it with the ground layer. Now similarly for the basketball, we already have the ball tag attached to it. Now coming back to the project panel, select this sample scene. We don't need it. Right click and choose delete, and in the option click on delete. Now first let us build the user interface. I will come into the hierarchy, and in this UI canvas, we have already added the score, ball left and game over. If I open it, right click, and I am going to come into UI, and I am going to create a panel, call this as tuning panel. You can see a white transparent rectangle added over our game. Along the left, I will give a margin of 600. From the top, I will give a margin of 700, and from the bottom, I will give it a margin of 25. Along right, I will give some 25 area. I am going to come into this tuning panel, right click, come to UI, and I am going to add my first slider. I will set the width of the slider to 300, height to 60, select the slider, press F2, and I am going to call this now as min power slider. This is minimum power slider. I will open this, select the background, and I will change its color to black. I will select the fill area, open it, select the fill color, click on the color, and I am going to select a green color. I also want to add a title. So I will select min power slider, right click, come into UI, and I am going to add a text component. I will call it as min power label. I am going to give it the name as minimum power. The title, I will set its width to 400 units. I will set its font size to 30, make it bold, set the color to black, move it along the y-axis by 30 units, and from X, I will move it 70 units. And also I will move down, I will align it to the center both horizontally and vertically. And also again I will come back here in the X and I will set it 10. Y I will set it to 40. I select this slider, come into the rect transform. With alt click, I click here and align it to the left. I will move it along the y-axis down minus 100 units, and along the X move it by 200 units. I have one slider of mine ready. I have to now set its value. So with min power slider selected, I will set its minimum value at 0, maximum value I will set it to 30, the actual value I will set it to 15. Select this min power slider, right click and choose duplicate or press Ctrl D, press F2. And I am now going to call this as max power slider. Open this, come here into the min power label, press F2 and change it to max power label. Come into the text input area and change it from minimum power to maximum power. Select max power slider. Leave minimum value at 0, maximum at 30, let the value be at 50. But along the Y, I move it by minus. Along X, I move it by 200 units, and along Y, I move it by minus 200 units. Now I will select both this mini power slider, max power slider, right click and choose duplicate. I will select this mini power slider 1 plus F2, and I am going to call this upward boost slider. I will select this max power slider 1, press F2, and I will call this as arc from swipe slider and press enter. I will drag this upward boost slider and put it below this max power slider. Then I select both upward boost slider, arc from swipe slider, and along the x-axis 700 units. I will select the upward boost slider, open it. I will select the mini power label here, press F2, and I will call this as upward boost label, and I will come into the text input and I will change it to upward boost. I will select the slider and come into the range, and minimum value is set to 0, maximum I will set it to 2, and the value here I will set it to 1. Then I will close upward boost slider, come to arc from swipe slider, open it, select max power label, press F2. I will now call this as arc from swipe label. Come into the text input, and I am going to change this arc from swipe. Come back and select arc from swipe slider. Set its maximum value to 2 and the actual value to 1. Now I will close both this slider. Now I select upward boost slider, arc from swipe slider, both the sliders, right click, choose duplicate. Now I select this upward boost slider 1, press F2 and I am going to call this as span Y slider. I will just move it down below this arc from swipe slider. Then I select arc from swipe slider 1, press F2 and I will call this as span Z slider. Then I select the span Y slider, open it, choose upward boost label, press F2 and call this as span Y label. Come into the text input and I am going to call vertical position and then I will close this. Now similarly I will select span Z slider, open it, select arc from swipe label, change its label to horizontal position. Selecting arc from swipe label, press F2 and I am going to call this as span Z label. Now I will close this span Z slider. I will now select both span Y slider, span Z slider and move it along the X unit by 1100 units. It is not correctly aligned. So I select upward boost slider, arc from slider and along the X I will move it 650. They are equally aligned. I want to add a button here. So I will go back to tuning panel, right click, come into UI and I am going to add button TextMeshPro. I am going to call this button as auto arc button. With this button selected, I will come into the inspector and I will set its width to 300, height to 60. I will open the auto arc button, select the text, press F2 and I will call this as auto arc text and come into the inspector and I am going to call this as auto face set arc. I will move down to the font size and set it to 40. I will make it bold. Select the auto arc button again. I will come here in the highlight color and change the color to green color. I will move it along the Y axis down by around -100 units. So now our user interface is completely ready. Now coming to the scripting part, we have to write a detailed script linking all these sliders to the values. Actually, I will discuss it in detail in a separate session. As of now, what you have to do is, you have to come to your downloads folder. You have already downloaded this 63B BallThrower with slider and auto control code.txt file. Double click to open it in Notepad. Go to edit and choose select all. Go to edit and copy it. Now come back to Unity, open script and open the BallThrower script. Double click to open it in Visual Studio Code. If it asks to trust the author, click on yes, I trust the author. Then press Ctrl A to select everything in the script. Press delete. Then press Ctrl V to paste the code that you copied from the text file. Go to file and save it. Come back to Unity and allow the script to get compiled. Now come and select the basketball to which this BallThrower script is attached. Now if I scroll down, already camera, ball span point, hoop ring, line, all these are attached. Ground mask is set to ground. Now here comes the UI slider, 6 sliders. I open this UI canvas and I will drag mini power slider from here to this mini power slider socket, max power slider from here to max power slider socket, upward boost slider to upward boost slider socket, arc from swipe slider to arc from swipe slider socket, pan Y slider to span Y slider socket, span Z slider to span Z slider socket. Drag this auto arc button at the bottom to this auto arc button. Now I have to open every slider here, drag this mini power label and attach it to this mini power label socket. Then open max power slider, drag this max power label and attach it to max power label socket. Open upward boost slider, drag with this upward boost label and attach it to this upward boost label socket. Open arc front swipe slider, drag this arc from swipe label and attach it to arc from swipe label socket. Then open span Y slider and drag span Y label into the span Y label socket. Drag the span Z slider and drag it into the span Z label socket. Now all this is set, and only thing now is this miss below Y value is set to -2. I will make it 0. Come into the file and save this. So when I play the game, actually you can now see the ball is coming and spanning here, and the reason for this is I will stop the playback. So if I come into the UI canvas, if I scroll down, we set the span 5 slider, but its value it is set between 0 and 2. I will have to change it between 1 and 3. And set its initial value to 1.5, and also select the span Z slider here, and I have to set its initial minimum value to -8 and maximum value to -6, and the value here I will set it to -7. And I have to select the score top trigger, and I have to enable IsTrigger here. This we had missed it. Select score bottom trigger also and enable IsTrigger. If I play the game and if I check it, so our game is now perfectly working fine. I have the minimum power, I can set it less or more, and you can see how the arc is changing. And similarly, I can change the maximum power, see how the arc is changing. And I can change the upward boost, you can see how it moves. I can change the arc from swipe, and you can see now it precisely went and I scored 1 goal. Height, I can control it, I can move it up or down the ball using this control. And span Z, it either moves it close or to the back. So here I can control the span Z value. I can also click on auto set arc, and automatically the arc value is precisely set based on the distance. See, if I click on auto arc, based on the distance measure I have given here, the arc will be perfectly set. So I can just drag it. So I have to slightly move it to the Z value like this, a little like this. Y also I will slightly move it, and if I now just drag, it will automatically calculate and help me in the score. So now my game is working perfectly fine. I will stop the playback. Finally, to publish it, come to File, Build Profile. And this time I am not going for web because there is some issue in this game to work on the web. So right now I will test it on Windows. You have seen it is set to active. You can come into the player setting, come into resolution and presentation, and in full screen mode, click here and choose maximized window. Close it, click on build. Now in your folder, create a new folder as output. Open this folder and select it. Now once the build is done, you can just double click this exe file on any of the Windows machine, and you can now start playing it. So I can click on auto set and I can move it and I can control it. So this is now working fine, and I will close this window. I will also close this build profile. So with this, we have successfully completed this project, and let us meet in our next session.